This is some Spawn pieces. This is actually Angel Medina.
The bell, right?
So the spread that goes this way. Inked by Danny Mickey's Crime Lab Studios. Now, this is the other thing to consider when you guys are doing, if you guys decide to do digital versus full hand stuff. I often do digital and then I'll throw some hand work on it, right? So I have an original. And especially too, if you're a little guy, you need to make money any way you can make money.
So I have pages to sell at a show.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a digital piece primarily with
Yes.
some hand stuff you've done.
Yeah, and some have more, some have less. You know, I just started, especially the first fashion lines that came out, they had a lot of little handwork on it, but I realized that my real goal was I wanted to tell stories, I wanted to tell them faster, and that was more important to me than having original art to sell.
Do you do a lot of business online too, like on your website, or?
No, not so much. I mean, we don't, you know, 'cause it's like one thing I want to have all my stuff be available for you guys.
Right, right.
You know, I don't want to be the guy who has the thing that, you know, then is not available to you guys.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that bites people in the ass.
It can, yeah.
From time to time.
Can I see that Gen 13?
No.
These are various cover
Thank you.
ideas. Oh, it's number 5.
Let's see what else I got. It's fun. I got lots of fun stuff. Let's see.
Brian, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Just a sort of an aesthetic or, I don't know what you call it, but of your cohort, of the people who came into comics when you came in, whose work do you like, or who do you think is still, I look at you and you're like growing and changing and doing interesting stuff, and there's some of the guys you came in with who really like ossified and stayed in their one style and are still doing it.
Yeah.
And I think of that.
And some of them, and that works, I mean, I think that works, I mean, you know, I think.
Here, bad example. The new Ironheart or whatever she's called, and what's his name doing that cover?
Oh,
You know,
Scott
in
Campbell?
a style that he did 20 years ago. You know, that's got its pros and cons to it. I'm just, but
Well,
artistically, I haven't seen him move an inch. Have you?
But that's again, you guys know the whole deal about this Iron Man cover that came out,
No.
right? That it was, you know.
So there's a 15-year-old girl is going to be Iron Man, and Marvel hired J. Scott Campbell to do one of the variants. And I don't even think anybody protested. They just pulled the cover. 'Cause I didn't hear any uproar. Right?
No, there was a mainstream article. I can't remember what it
Because
was.
it's sort of, some said it sexualized her,
Yeah.
and she didn't look 15, and to boot, she came out light-skinned when the original art sort of presentation was a dark-skinned black girl being
Yeah.
Iron Man. That in itself was a significant thing.
Okay.
But by the time the J. Scott Campbell cover came out, she just looked like.
Like his other characters.
But again, it was one of those things. It's like all the beef about the Milo Manero cover, the beef about Frank Cho. Don't you understand who you've hired to do your cover?
I understand.
You know,
No,
it's like-
but you know, but the mainstream answer was nobody cared. Like the most irrelevant guy in the world today is J. Scott Campbell, in the sense that forget who he is or what he's done in his life. The culture as a whole said there's other issues here at stake. Just like Milo Manero, 50 years ago or 40 years ago, you'd say that guy was cutting edge. Now, don't hire him. You know, like it's both. So I'm just asking you though about your contemporaries. You see people that you like their work and
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I love about Mike Turner is Mike was one of those guys. He was a sponge. I would show him anything. I would show Key Asamiya's work. I would show him, you know, this other work or layouts, and Mike would just, you know, and keep getting better. The guys who I really respect are like people like Dan Panosian. You know, Dan was a craftsman level inker when he was first starting with Extreme and stuff like that, and Dan's just gotten better and better and better.
King of the Sharpie.
Dan Franga, you know, Dan's doing really great work on Instagram right now. Have you guys ever seen, do you guys know Scott M. Fisher's work? If you've never seen Scott M. Fisher's work on Instagram, you need to look up Scott M. Fisher's work. does beautiful paintings on Duralar, does these paintings on brass, oil paintings on brass, where the light reflects through them, that are just the most stunning things you'd ever want to see in your life.
Does he do comic books too? Or?
He does. He used to do comic books.
Okay.
But getting to the point, yeah, I mean, the guys who stay exactly the same, but it's you know, I always felt, and it's funny because it was at Con, it was Joe Benitez, me, and Jeff sitting at a table, and it was after Jeff, he after Danger Girl, his second personal work that he wanted to do was a book called Wildsiders. He wanted me originally to work on it, and he sent me just, I mean, he had CDs of reference, he had all this stuff, he wanted it colored with all these color holds, a completely different style than what other people were doing, and it was like, when someone comes to you with something like that, and you know you're just kind of the hired gun at the end of the day, and you're not vested in this
Right,
thing
how much
at the
work
end of
it's
the
gonna
day,
be,
it's
yeah.
like, this is your baby. I don't want to be in charge of your baby, you know, it's like, so he went off and did it, but the sales were good, but not horrible, you know. For anybody else, they'd be like, yeah. For Jeff, it was no.
Yeah, I did like 1 or 2 issues.
Two issues, and it was like he got punched in the gut.
I'm gonna
He
say
took
he's
it-
one of my favorite artists, but yeah, I didn't love that.
Jeff took it personally,
You know,
and so
yeah.
Jeff never did another. That was it.
Yeah.
There were no creator-owned books. There was that stagnant-y, Spider-Man-y thing with
That
Jeff
never came
Loeb
out.
that never ever came out. And he found it was much more easy for him to do fairy calendars,
Is one of them.
yeah, and not have to worry about sequential storytelling.
Yeah.
And Jeff and both Joe Benitez and I were both going, "What the hell are you thinking?" You know. Again, then on the other front we got Joe. Joe, you know, I remember it was the second issue of his steampunk thing came out on the charts of the thing. He sold 20-something thousand copies, and that was enough to make Joe the 7th largest comic company by himself, because he did it all independently. There you go. You know, yeah, but some people, it's tough though, and you know it's tough when you get to a point like when you're like, you know, like people, Frank Miller had his thing, right? You know, especially in the Daredevil time. That was a flavor of Frank Miller. But Frank was an artist, so he, you know, especially if you pick up. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the samurai one. Ronin.
300. Oh, Ronin. Yeah.
Ronin. If you go, if you guys are serious about the art form, pick up Ronin, because Frank does a tour de force of every single type, style of storytelling through that thing. It was an exercise for him. He also had a new style that was more kind of a European-y kind of thing that no one reacted very well to, you know. But he completely changed the style for that book. Okay, and then, you know, he has his Sin City style. You know, I still thought one of the funniest things in the world. I remember when I was at Homage, Jim Lee was aping the Sin City style for Deathblood, and Frank called him up. I was in the studio.
Well, he put it in the back of Sin City too. He's like, he named out Jim Lee and who did that, Huntress, Michael Netzer. He's like, you know, it's very flattering, but stop it.
I was there when he called Jim up. He said, "Stop."
What'd Jim do?
But yeah, it's tough when you have something that kind of resonates though. Not, I mean, it's like, you know, so many fans. If Dave Finch changed his style right now, fans would like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard. It takes a lot of courage. But then there are guys who also are, they never get to the point where, like, they just constantly are shifting. And those people I never see maintain a fan base either. You know, 'cause they're not necessarily shifting for the better. They're just shifting.
You're like a chameleon.
Yeah, well, it's not even a chameleon. It's like almost like sometimes they have like just an instinctive itch. You know, I more think about it as, because some of these other books I have, and I didn't bring in half the art for the stuff that I have, are very different styles. And I probably will go down more the Gene Gerard, Blueberry, Mobius road. I think that's much more palatable for the fan base. You know, so this style of mine is, you know, Blue Boy, or, you know, whatever would be the thing. I think that that works better because you're obviously donning another hat. You know.
Good question.
But yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I mean, and there are people who just like, you know, there are people who just get tired too, which is the sad part. You know, it's like, I mean, if you ever saw, and if you guys don't, if any of you guys want to be inkers, okay, go to John Byrne's site. John's posted his pencils from his old Marvel Days stuff. They have side shading on them. You never want to give, as your sample for I want to be an inker, a Dave Finch page that I just did, or a Jeff Campbell page, because it's all there already. You'd be tracing, okay? An editor wants to see what you do with vagueness, okay? John at the time, back in the day, and he was the guy. And John actually could do 3 books a month penciling in a beautiful style. Right? And then I think he got a little kicked in the teeth when the image thing happened, because there was like kind of a regret thing going on there that he wasn't included in that whole kind of group and stuff. And there was so much money, you could understand where somebody getting a little bit. I mean, these guys, you know, Todd, what was it? I want to say 4 or 5 million copies of the first issue of Spawn he sold. That means Todd made $5 million off doing a single issue of a comic book. Okay? Those image guys back in the day, it was insane the amount of money. When I first joined Homage, they would always go out on the weekends. They wouldn't go anywhere if it wasn't in a limo. Okay? You had new kids coming in there. I was the older guy. I was late 20s when I was down there. The young kids like Jeff Campbell and a bunch of these other kind of inker guys and penciler guys for Jim were making $22,000 a month doing comic books.
We're late to the game.
They went out. They went out and they'd buy cars that were way too fast, and half of them got into wrecks.
Well, Dale Keown didn't he like buy a guitar and build a studio, and like after the second issue of Pit, and then Pit number 3 didn't come out until two years after that.
That happens too.
True story.
That's the other thing. If you guys are not the artist on your own book, I always describe, you know, when you're working with someone remotely, it's always good to have an artist within choking distance.
The other one that did that was Stephen Platt.
Stephen Platt?
Yeah, he burnt out quick too. He was doing all this stuff, next thing you know, you don't see anything from him for a long time.
But anyway, getting back to John's stuff, he became the hacked version of himself, because he lost whatever had him do it in the first place. But he kept doing it because this is the way I make a living, you know. And that's a sad part when you see that part. You know, it's like it's you know it becomes, you know, inking with a marker. Back when inking with a marker wasn't a good way to ink with a marker, and now there's great markers to ink with. But back then there was not so much great markers to ink with, and it was just disappointing. And there's a lot of guys who go that way too. But again, like I talk about Dan Panosian, I talk about, you know, Fraga, I talk about, you know, Benitez, I talk about those guys who really they love it. They love the medium. You know, I was talking outside the Long Beach Convention Center. It was Dan, it was Snakebite, and it was oh God, who's the other guy? I've forgotten, but they all love the medium. And I think if you know, as soon as you don't love it anymore.
Yeah, it's not because you're not making $22,000 a month, so you have to do it because it's just something you have to do.
Yes.
And as for the Gladiator guy, you should you know, start thinking about your own character that maybe has the elements of what you like about Gladiator. You know, do your own thing. You know,
I made a
for
list
now.
of names for characters. I'm working on the image and likenesses, just like a zillion other comic book fans.
Yeah. But it's just a good exercise, you know, and tell that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that Gladiator should have his own comic.
Yeah.
He looks like he could carry a title, or Gladiator in the Imperial Guard. A character like Wave Rider should have his own book.
He's a king now.
I mean, eventually a company will say, hey, you know,
So that
let's
was
see what, you know, something's dry right now.
that
Just
was a
put something out.
Marvel request for costume design.
You know, like
for Storm.
there's a lot of sub characters out there.
It wasn't in it. being that design. But
Okay.
that's one of those things that you get asked to do when you're.
Do they pay you when you
Just-
do it?
Wow. It depends if the need is
Cool,
there.
man.
That's nice, Brian.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But those are, I mean, once you start, and again too, once you actually start to publish doing this stuff, is like the job offers from all these other kind of weird things, from like, you know, album covers to you name it, you know, you're out there now. So that happens too. You know, even if it's you're just doing an independent book, you get all that kind of stuff as a side.
Oh, is it time? Oh. Well, any more last questions before we wrap up today? No? Brian, you were awesome, dude.
Yeah,
You
man.
brought so much cool stuff. You got some books in here to check out?
If you guys haven't gotten your free tutorial thing, grab your free tutorial thing. I also have free astronauts stress relievers for you guys, and mission patches.
And we do carry his books here, although we don't have an anomaly now. I think we need to get that in the shop.
Yeah, what's the matter?
They all sold out, right?
See, this is kind of interesting to see. You know, some people like working on the blue line. You know, a lot of people don't think about.
I love seeing that process stuff.
So cool.
Oh, thanks.
And the room kind of filled out, too.
Yeah, it did.
Let me find when the next meeting's going to be. 1 second, guys.
Love the idea, Nate.
You know what's funny about that is when you like pages, I really liked the style too. It's a real punchy black which I like.
Oh,
But
thanks.
that's my side of the street, that's my taste. So I think the pages look great and they look great in the finished book. I really like that. Since I last saw you down at your thing, you know, it sounds good.
Are you guys cool with doing the next meeting on November 19th? That is a local comic shop day.
Barbarians.
That's a perfect.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect place for you. Sounds good.
And I know you've been all
Yeah, it's always on Saturdays. So. Yeah. All right, cool. Guess we'll see you on the 18th.
I think CTN might be then.
What's that?
CTN Expo? The CTN Expo?
Is it that weekend?
Like
I
a
think
cartoon thing?
so,
That's
yeah.
animation.
Anybody here going to that? Are you going to it?
And DesignerCon is that weekend.
Same weekend?
Oh yeah, yeah, they are.
Oh.
But that's fine. I mean, like, no, you could do that.
Can we do it the week after Thanksgiving?
Don't know if people here do that.
I think
I have
because
been
otherwise
before.
we're talking about that
Yeah,
weekend
I
and
know.
people are
So
going
we
to be
should-
gone.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
just do it that weekend.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Thanks, dude.